What was it like to have the 2012 state basketball championship come back to Mount Vernon? It was awesome. I mean, what else are you supposed to say about it?
All 22 guys I think there were that were practicing with us, every single person bought into what he was saying, and what we were doing that year just really clicked with every single person that we had.
Mount Vernon basketball, for as long as I can remember, has been a bunch of undersized, not quite as talented kids as everybody else has. You play really hard, and you play together, and you're a team.
So we're not going to be a team that scores 80, 70 points.
We didn't do a whole lot as a team, but what we did really, really well.
We were really small, and we were just really scrappy.
And so we didn't have to come out and try to surprise anybody. We just came out and did our same things that we needed to.
They believed in each other. They believed in a system. They believed in a process.
It's like we got a bunch of kids who aren't really good basketball players, but here we are in the state championship game.
There was nobody 6'5". There was nobody that could probably dunk the basketball. But they had a lot of guys who knew their role, played their role really well, and trusted their teammates, and trusted the process, and trusted the coach, and had a belief that they would not get beat.
The state championship game from 2012, I remember it was pretty packed. Towards halftime, I thought we were going to lose. I think everyone just planned on us losing, so spirits weren't very high, and then we ended up coming back towards the end of the game.
We were down pretty big, if I remember. Things weren't going very well for Mount Vernon, and then all of a sudden it just kind of changed, and I don't know if it was a shot or a single play that happened, but it was like the momentum just totally flipped, and it kind of felt like Mount Vernon couldn't do anything wrong then. And
probably would have been, so we were down, 15, I think, with, 2 or 3 minutes left in the third, and I think we got a trap in the corner, and they threw out of it, and Connor Schaefer stole it, and we ended up getting a layup on the other end, and it just kind of, we only scored like 15 points up to that point, and so it was kind of like a little bit of a boost, and so that's the one thing I just remember from that game, just being like, okay, it kind of calmed us down a little bit, and that was kind of the moment where it's like, okay, if we're gonna go, we're gonna win this game, it's gotta be like now.
They didn't think they were gonna lose. I mean, that's a group of guys that got to the point. And one of the advantage they had is basically I coached that same group of kids from sophomore, junior, and senior year. And so, we talk about all the time about getting better every day. They had 3 years to do that. There's not very many times that happens.
I think Coach Timm's a really good coach. He knows, what he's doing. He's very smart, and you can tell he puts a lot of time into basketball.
I think it's nice to be playing under a coach where you know that he's been successful, and it gives you a little more confidence as a player.
In terms of what am I thinking of Mr. Timm, I think that he works incredibly hard to get his kids to be the very best that he can be.
He was, one of the best coaches I've ever had, if not the best. He knew how to push guys. He knew when to really get on you, when not to really get on you, when to call you out in the big picture with everybody listening, and when to take you to the side and tell you something. Something that pops in my mind right away is just the way that we practice so hard. I remember Micah Russell and Jake Timm were going after a loose ball, and they came up with it together, and Jake had the ball, and he took one hand off of it, and he open hand slapped Micah Russell right in the face, and everyone just kind of like stopped right in the moment, and Jake, he just went up and shot the layup because I think the ball was on his side of the court. But I mean, guys just really, really competed that year. And
well, for those of you that know my dad, he's obviously he has a lot of high expectations.
I had made a point not to coach my kids because I'm kind of intense, and I realized that wouldn't be a good situation. But that journey is really, really special.
It was tough, and looking back on it, obviously it was really rewarding, but it was hard at times to balance the dad and coach aspect of it. Sometimes you just want your dad to be your dad.
I would say when he was a sophomore, I handled about as poorly as a coach/dad can handle it. We had multiple incidents between the two of us.
It was sketchy at times. Whenever he kicked me out of practice, like my senior year, and I took the car home.
And I had to walk home without a coat, and it was 13 degrees outside.
But I just remember him walking home like he's got no hat on, and he just looks at me and I just shrugged my shoulders and walked away. But that's just kind of how it was. It was tense at times, but looking back on it, it was pretty memorable, I guess. So
that process, I never had to go through that with my son. We never lost our last game, that it's now over. And I think that's really special, because everybody, 99% of the other people who coach one of their children, the last game, there's this utter sadness and it's all these kinds of things. And that was one of those things. The last game I ever got to coach him was one of the most joyful moments, and we got to share it. Forever, that's something we share and can never be taken away from us.
Excellence can happen without winning, and especially without winning a championship. But I think in this case, it was really, it's a dedication of our students and our community to a process and to achieving greatness.
I think that it got some energy back into basketball in Mount Vernon, and it really showed that Mount Vernon's serious about basketball, and I think that really kind of eclipsed that moment there.
Obviously the year before we'd gone through a lot of crap with a couple kids dying that were in my class and a couple classes below, and so it meant a lot.
After we had won, all of our student section was right there, and this thing was very personal to me. The last time I remember a whole bunch of our students in a like that was at one of the funerals for a suicide in 2010. In that moment, in this big church, and in the balcony was a whole bunch of students, and it was the same. I felt the same thing. It brought to mind that this sadness, this utter sadness that people had at this event. And then to be a year and a half later, just have all those students, and I recognized all the faces, and just to have joy in that moment, it was really moving to me.